This is the second round of the South African Rally Championships, the Volkswagen International Rally, starting in Bellville down in Cape Town. It's the big one of the season, and a huge crowd has come out to see all the top South African drivers in action. You might remember that the Valvoline Rally was won by Jannie Hubbeck and Douglas Judd in their Skyline. Well, they've now swapped into the other Nissan car, the Nissan Sentra, to join Hannes Krobler and Piet Swanepoel, and they'll be up against the other mighty drivers in this championship, Saul van der Merwe and Frans Boshoff in the Volkswagen 4x4 Golf, and also the two Toyotas, the current champions at the moment. There's Serge Damsou and Vita Bonafide, and also Eric Saunders and Tilo van Westenhagen. It's a tough rally, 920 kilometers in length, 420 kilometers of special stages, 22 and all. And 12,000 spectators lined the streets of Bellville as the Mayor, Willie van Schoor, flagged away Eric Saunders and Tilo van Westenhagen in the Toyota four-wheel drive ahead of their teammates Serge Damsou and Vita Bonafide. But it was this team, Springbok, Saul van der Merwe and Frans Boshoff, a lot of people had come to see. And what a spectacle he put on. Getting the tyres smoking, getting the wheels lifting, and including that bump into a bit of Bellville pavement there that was to give the service crew a lot of work early in this rally. Here's the pretty Nissan Sentra four-wheel drive, a state-of-the-art rally machine. Hannes Krobler and Piet Swanepoel, favourites for the Nissan team, and Jannie Hubbeck now in the four-door Sentra, and with the tension on it, even losing his way early in the rally. But that's what the pressure is on these Class A running motor cars. But the fastest man in the stage by just 1 second was Johan Everts and Steve Harding in the Volkswagen Golf. They were 1 second ahead of Saul van der Merwe and Frans Boshoff. So nice start for the Volkswagen Golfs. And what a backdrop to a motor racing circuit, the picturesque Killarney track with another huge holiday crowd following this rally. And here came the spectacle. Eric Saunders and Van Westenhagen giving that four-wheel drive Toyota everything they could give it. You don't often see that with the getting it sideways, beautifully prepared by the Toyota team, sounding absolutely crisp in the early afternoon. And one of the favourites in this rally, very fast indeed, but getting a lot of pressure from his teammate, the Springbok Serge Damsou, in the sister motor car. And Serge, in racing and rallying since 1974. His navigator, Vita Bonafide, has been with him since 1982, and what a team they make. Serge has won the Master Drivers title in South Africa 2 years in a row, a very hard man to beat. Easy on the motor cars, a demanding driver. But here's action. This is the one who gives them all the thrills they could want. Saul van der Merwe, 11-time South African rally champion, showing what a four-wheel drive Golf can really do. And here's this beautiful state-of-the-art Nissan making a strong bid for South African Rally Championship honours this year with their Springbok team. Hannes Krobler and Piet Swanepoel. They've won the Rally Championships, they've won the Off-Road Championships in South Africa, a very talented team. But Swanepoel steers Hannes Krobler through those famous blue gums. And Jannie Hubbeck now getting his first taste of four-wheel drive motoring. Still as spectacular, still giving their crowd their money's worth. So the thrill certainly happened at Killarney as we moved on to a very fast stage in the Boerland. And this was 16 kilometres. There's Serge Damsou at full stretch there, doing nearly 180 kilometres an hour down next to a railway line. Being followed by Saul van der Merwe, the fastest man by 4 seconds through the stage with his car geared for something like 202 kilometres an hour. And the man in the suicide seat, the navigator Frans Boshoff, bringing him down through the gearbox, slowly over the hump, veer right, veer left, and sit back and wait for the next instruction. And driving another one of the very high-speed Golfs was Johan Everts and Steve Harding, very quick on tar or dirt. They've been quick in Bellville, they've been quick at Killarney, and they at the moment were lying second to Saul van der Merwe. Here was the third Volkswagen now in Class B. That was Glyn Hall, and his navigator is Martin Botha, and Glyn wanting desperately to finish this rally. And then the Class C battle had already started. There was Glenn Gibbons and Peter Cuffley in the 1600cc Conquest, and close on their heels, Nick Duval and Guy Hodson. And they were to suffer no less than 4 punctures, 2 of the tyres bursting when they were going flat out at about 180 kilometres an hour down some of the fast stages. And as evening started to approach, it was over the dusty wheatlands of the Boerland to the oasis at Kruiwagen Kraal. And this was to give the large group of spectators lots of entertainment. Serge Damsou came through and just spluttered his way through. He knew that he had to keep the pressure on Saul van der Merwe. Van der Merwe had a punch at the beginning of the stage, which was set him back no less than 3 minutes, and he was in a hurry. But carefully through the water here. He knows how to handle water, and he knew that the man he needed to chase was Serge Damsey. Then Gibbons in a bit of a rush to come through. He splutters to a stop. Peter Cuffley lets him do all the hard work there in getting out.
Try it, Peter. Try it.
Loosens the air filter box, tightens it again, down goes the bonnet, and Glenn Gibbons is back in action. And as the shadows start to lengthen and the sun goes down over the beautiful Cederberg, after 7 stages and 112 kilometres, Serge Damsey is in front by just those few vital seconds ahead of Johan Everts in the Golf. Saul van der Merwe set back by having to change that wheel. Hannes Strobler left on his own in the Nissan team, Hubik out with a broken oil pipe. And still the huge crowds followed the competitors. And like encounters of another kind, the cars came at you out of the dark. You heard them coming from kilometres away. Serge Damsey in front and taking nothing for granted. And although this was virgin rally country, they'd never used this set of roads before, even Serge was without a home ground advantage. And Johan Everts trying very hard in second position. Competitors actually preferring night stages with those brilliant headlights. They're able to concentrate on the job in hand. And it was just after he went out of shot that there was a sudden stillness. Everything went quiet. His motor had cried enough, and he had to retire from this international rally. But teammate pressing on, Saul van der Merwe was giving it everything. Covering the spectators in dust, he wasn't wasting any time whatsoever. And the 7 new night stages were starting to take their toll. Night rallying certainly sorts them in from the boys as reports were coming through of cars rolling and overworked engines and crew just crying enough and retiring from the rally. And as morning broke, it wasn't only the machinery that needed a break. For the overworked pit crews, the unsung heroes of rallying, another day had just begun. And South African rallying is really tough. It needs a supreme effort from driving crew and servicemen just to get to the finish. At first light, at the end of stage 14, the Park Ferme looked like a battleground. 3 cars had rolled in the night, with their crews fortunately coming through unscathed, and having a really big one was Alicia Miranda and Ava Pels, the second one in 2 rallies, who rolled and landed roof down on a railway line, with a train approaching within minutes. Unfortunately, they were able to get to a farmer who helped them remove the wreck from the track. And the early morning start on day 2 was alongside a very picturesque dam at Clanwilliam. 8 stages to go. Serge Damsey leading the Volkswagen Rally after the 7 night stages.
Well, it's a long time we haven't had a night event, and I must say I feel quite happy about it, the whole thing still. We'll see about this afternoon.
So it looks like an action replay of last year's event.
Well, I don't think I'm going to talk soon about it. We'll first see when we get there.
Sorrel, 2.5 minutes behind, fighting to make up.
Well, I don't think really there's enough stage mileage left to make up 2.5 minutes. It's more a case of waiting for somebody to make a mistake.
Serge Damsey, 2.5 minutes buffer between him and Saul van der Merwe. It looks like it's going to be survival, but this isn't cricket, it's motorsport. Let's see what happens for the rest of the day. A unique new starting light system was used for the first time throughout this rally. And with some of the favourites out of the rally, the pressure was off the leaders. Eric Saunders had retired his Toyota with water pump problems. Piazza Musso had engine problems in the Golf. Nuno de Cunha and Paul Rouillard from Middelburg were out with a blown oil seal and was gushing oil all over the place. And then also from that part of the world, Koos Roos and Dave McGregor had crashed their Skyline avoiding the Miranda car, and they were still in the running. And here's a magnificent shot of Saul van der Merwe still hard at work in an effort to catch up to Serge Damsey. And there's his teammate Glyn Hall and Martin Botha, third in the road, looking pretty unbeatable ahead of Jeff Saunders and Gary Schiff from East London. Ralph Chadwick, Mike Constable, very colourful in their Golf. They'd rolled it 5 times in the Valvoline. They got a new chassis, and they're looking good for 3rd place in Class B. And still that Class C battle went on between Glenn Gibbons and Peter Cuffley, and Nick Duval and Guy Hodgson, still having the punctures. And a turn-up for the books was a grand performance by some privateers. This time it was Glenn Durman and Charles Reeler making a bit of a heavy job of it getting around that corner, and then going for a class win, doing very well for Toyota. And how's this? A 79 Escort with Johan Zulch and Johan Rabi that come from series and the Witzenberg Club, finishing a very creditable 16th position overall. And going well from East London, the Barnes Volkswagen Golf of Jeff Saunders and Gary Schuff to finish 7th overall. Very good positioning indeed. Enzo Kuhn and Johan Seening in a brand new Toyota were having the odd moment as a very tired crew were making their way to the checkered flag at the end of the rally. And next along were Willem Lowe and Johan Baden in the ex-Damzu Toyota, picking up the first prize trophy for the best presented team in the Western Province, finishing 12th out of the 24 finishers. And how's this? Gerrit Bezuidenhout and Ian Smith in the 1600 centre getting tangled up in a straight line. And you can just see how tired these crews really are as they make their way towards the finish. And despite these small problems, the second Nissan Sentra home and a very creditable 14th position. And with 420 kilometres of hard racing stages behind them, they arrived at Killarney. Stage number 22, it all rested on this one. And although Sarel van der Merwe during the day had shortened Serge's lead from 2.5 minutes to under 2 minutes, Serge wasn't going to let this one get away from him. In front of his home crowd, he absolutely shines. And he crosses the finishing line going absolutely flat out in 6th gear, very typical of the man. So he comes home to win ahead of Sarel van der Merwe in the golf by 1 minute and 55 seconds, showing just how close South African rallying really is. 11 international rallies to his credit. Serge, I'm so glad that one's over.
Yes, I must say I'm quite happy it's all over. It's been dragging for quite a while, and we all feel quite tired. But
That's the start of a new winning streak.
well, I hope we can carry on this way. You know, you never know what can go wrong in rallying and things like that.
Let's go through the other class winners. Class B to Glyn Hall and Martin Botha, ahead of Saunders and Schuff from East London, and Kessler and Becker from Windhoek, all driving Volkswagen Golfs. And there, the personal battle in Class C was won by Glenn Gibbons and Peter Cuffley from Nick Duval and Guy Hodson. And here was a turn-up for the books. A privately entered Toyota of Glenn Durman and Charles Reeler from Pretoria took the 1600cc class, or Class D. And presenting the largest bottle of champagne you've ever seen, the chairman and managing director of Volkswagen South Africa, Peter Searle, gives it to Serge Damzu and Vita Bonafide. And the manufacturer's award went to Toyota, who now lead the points table, 280 points to Volkswagen's 178. So let's have a look at the overall results of this rally. And the South African rally scene looking very good this year. Nissan took round number 1 in Natal. Toyota's taken round number 2. And the third round, the Castrol International Rally, starts from Ermelo, and the 18th of May goes down to Swaziland. One, do join us then.
Always been